What's up, guys? So today I wanted to sit down and make a video discussing your daily caloric needs. So basically, energy expenditure throughout a 24-hour period and what to do with that information depending on your goals once you know how many calories that you are burning in a day. So I want to start this video off by making it clear that there is no way to know exactly how many calories you're burning in a day. And with that being said, you're not going to always be burning the same amount of calories from one day to the other, depending on your activity level, how much you moved, and how much you ate. So just keep that in mind while we're going through this video. These are just estimates that I like to use with people that I work with and that you can use just to give you an idea of what your daily caloric needs are, and then we can manipulate it from there. So first, let's get into what all composes your daily caloric needs. And there are several factors, and we're going to talk about some online calculators as well as manual calculators that you can use to find out how many calories that you are burning a day. So if you do use calculators online, there are several. All you have to do is Google how many calories do I burn in a day or something along those lines, and a whole search line of calculators will pop up. They're basically all the same, and that is okay even if there is some discrepancy between them, and we'll talk about why that's not such a big deal in a little bit. But the first thing that you're going to see if you plug how do I calculate my calories into and on that calculator and you click it, is it's going to ask for typically your age, your weight, your height, your gender, and your activity level. And from taking all those things into account, it's going to spit you out a very generic generated number. And that is okay to use, but we want to get a little bit more specific after you have that suggested calorie goal for the day. So what all does that consist of? How are they spitting out those calories? Well, it's all coming from your calculated BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate. And your basal metabolic rate is the amount of calories that you burn in a 24-hour period just by living, just by breathing, just by your heart beating and your food digesting throughout the day. Basically, if you just laid in bed all day and your body just had to do what it had to do to survive, that's the amount of calories that you would be burning according to your basal metabolic rate. On top of that, we have to add in things like you getting up and showering in the morning, making breakfast, going to work, going to the gym, going for a walk. Any type of daily activity that you do is added on top of your BMR. So if you wanted to sit down and do this yourself, you can. You can calculate your BMR. There's a fairly simple equation, and I'll actually put the equation up here because I'm going to say it, but it's a lot easier if you can, see it. And again, you can Google this too. Quick Google, how do I calculate my BMR, and it'll pop up. But I have the equation right here, and I'm going to read it to you. So for women, it's 4.7 times your height in inches plus 4.35 times your weight in pounds minus 4.7 times your age plus 655. And for men, it's 12.7 times your height in inches plus 6.23 times your weight in pounds minus 6.8 times your age plus 66. So it sounds super complicated, but if you plug it into a calculator, it's pretty simple. And again, this is your basal metabolic rate. So this is going to be what you're burning if you just laid in bed and watched SpongeBob all day or something. So next step that we have to do is take into account your activity level. And we do this using the Harris-Benedict equation, which is your BMR times your daily activity levels. So there are usually 4 or 5 main categories that you use. So once you have your BMR, you're going to multiply those calories by one of these numbers. If you have a very sedentary lifestyle, and this would be an office worker who, occasionally might go for a 10-minute walk from their office to their car, goes home, cooks dinner, or watches TV and goes to bed. So you're not really moving at all during during the day and you're not working out either, that would be considered a sedentary person. You take your BMR calories and you multiply those by 1.2. A lightly active person would be someone who exercises 1 to 3 days a week at a light or moderate intensity. So this could be someone who goes and, throws ball with their kid after school, or goes for a 30-minute walk at the gym 1 to 2 days a week, or someone who's just generally active, maybe like a house mom or dad who, does chores around the house but doesn't strength train, doesn't do any structured workout activity throughout the week, or just someone who, works out once or twice a week. So that would be lightly active, and you would take your BMR and multiply it by 1.375. And then we move to the moderately active, and this is probably where most fairly active individuals, this is the category that they would fall into. So this is someone who works out 3 to 5 times a week at a moderate intensity. So if you're, maybe you go for a jog a few times a week, or you resistance train a few times a week, especially at like the beginning stages, this is probably where you would be. Even if you're kind of an avid gym goer, but that's the bulk of the activity you get throughout the day. So you have an office job, but then you go into the gym 3 to 5 times a week, you would probably fall within the moderately active category. And that is your BMR times 1.55. And then we have the very active. So this is your athlete types, someone who's at soccer practice 5 days a week, plus strength training, and is active around their house and stuff like that, or someone who just, goes hard at the gym 7 days a week, which, isn't necessary, but there are people out there like that. I think about like your CrossFit type, your, marathon runners, people like that who are always active, always moving, or those who have an active job as well. So like a construction worker or something like that who then goes to the gym and strength trains. That would be your very active type of person, and that would be your BMR times 1.725. So once you have this gives you a rough idea of how many calories that you burn within a 24-hour period. The thing with these calories is whether you do it manually like we just went through, or you just plug in it online and put your stats in and it shoots you out this number, those are fine. And those are definitely where you want to start your baseline if you've never paid attention to how many calories that you're eating in a day. However, there's a 99% chance that they're not going to be completely accurate for your body. Other factors to consider are how much muscle mass you have. What is your dieting history? Because if you have a faulty metabolic rate and it's slow because of chronic dieting, or you have never exercised before, or your body composition is mostly muscle or mostly fat, all those factors are going to play a huge role in how many calories you're actually burning a day. And it can vary extremely, widely. I've had girls that are eating less than 1,200 calories a day and are 20 pounds overweight, but that's where they're maintaining their weight. And then I've had girls who are strength training 3 days a week, and eating 2,200 calories a day and maintaining their weight. Both of these women are the same weight, but extremely different cases. So that being said, this is just a baseline. So what do you do with those calories that it spits out then? Well, I would first suggest getting a food tracking app. MyFitnessPal is my favorite. I know that there are other ones out there, like My Macros Plus is another super popular one. It doesn't really matter, whatever your phone carrier provides or whatever is easier for you to navigate. Just download an app, because you have to kind of, once you have those calories of this is how many calories I'm supposed to be burning in a day, well, how many calories are you actually eating in a day right now? So track how many calories you are eating for a few days, or really 1 to 2 weeks would be a sweet spot to start with, just so you get an idea of how many calories you're burning a day. So for example, if the calorie counter spits out that you're supposed to be burning 1,800 calories on a daily basis. So you take that information, you hold it there in your pocket, and for the next 2 weeks you track your calories religiously in MyFitnessPal, like using a food scale, making sure everything is accurate, and you have been eating, let's say 1,400 calories for the past 2 weeks. So that's pretty much your average, you know, give or take. Some days are 16, just average it out. And you've maintained your weight and your activity level over those 2 weeks. And let's say you didn't gain any weight. Well, that's a good sign that your calorie needs are not at that 1,800 where that calculator is telling you they are. They're actually a lot lower at 1,400. So you can't make that big jump from 14 to 18 and be like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be maintaining on, because you probably will gain weight. So taking those calories and then, you know, applying them to your lifestyle and what your body's feedback is telling you is very important. I would also suggest getting a wearable. So like I have a Fitbit. I know that Apple makes smartwatches as well. Doesn't really matter the brand, whatever you prefer, whatever you already have will work fine. But that is also going to give you, usually they have, I think all of them now have calorie trackers on them. Again, just like the online trackers, not going to be 100% accurate. But it also gives you a baseline. So they are fairly accurate, I found, for most people, given that your metabolic rate isn't disrupted by, you know, chronic dieting or lack of activity or something like that. They're fairly accurate, but again, it's just another tool to use. And the step trackers on them are great, as well as the ability to track your workouts, so you can kind of give a rough idea of how many calories you're intaking, as well as how many calories you're expending during activities of daily life, as well as your workouts. So anyway, what I'm getting to with this is calculate your projected caloric needs. Using one of these calculators is a great place to start, but what you do with that information afterwards is even of more importance. So use that as your guidance, track your food for 2 weeks, and then adjust. So let's go back to that scenario we were talking about a few moments ago. If it says that you're supposed to be maintaining at 1,800, but you're only maintaining at 1,400, well, what we can do is, we don't want you to stay at that 1,400 in maintenance calories. And this is perfect situation for someone who is not resistance training either, because we can slowly start adding in more resistance training type workouts and slowly start adding in more calories. It's called a reverse diet. So basically we're going to slowly add back in calories as we put on muscle, we add more food. No, you might not lose weight at first, but we're able to get that metabolic rate up to where it should be, a more healthy rate. And then we can kind of cut calories and cut weight again. You know, the same is true for somebody that wants to put on weight. If you are struggling to gain muscle and you're not tracking, or you don't know where your calories, how many calories you're expending on a daily basis, tracking and knowing where you kind of should be can also be a really great tool. Because if you're trying to bulk on 1,800 calories, but your body really is burning 2,300 calories a day, and you're like, what the heck is going on? I'm not gaining any weight or muscle. Well, you know, we can't figure that out unless we know how many calories that you're intaking and expending during the day. So anyway, that's kind of just a simple rundown of how to calculate your calories. I will leave a link below of one of the calculators that I find online, a simple one. Again, I'll have the equation across the screen earlier in the video as well. So hopefully that'll help you guys out. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the comments down below on the YouTubes or on the Facebook, because I'll be sharing this on Facebook as well. Or you can always reach out to me, and I'd love to help in any way that I can. But I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.